You're live.
Live. All right. Yay, and welcome to Ken Goldberg's Law and Disorder with me, AJ Kroll, and Ken Goldberg.
I'm still trying to figure out where to look. even though we talked about it for 10 minutes. So welcome. Yes, AJ. She remembers to introduce us. I would forget.
Yes, he would.
Yeah. So what this thing is, this is Law and Disorder, and it's based upon it's kind of a reformulation of the original radio show that aired in Dallas for a number of years and in Tucson, Arizona later on KYNG. This is launched. So,
yay, Ken.
Yay.
So Ken is a former Buddhist monk, and why is my Facebook Live so far behind this?
It's a delay.
There's a big, huge delay.
In case I say damn.
Oh, I thought it was in case I said penis and balls again.
You stop. That's what was distracting me a moment ago. And you
the penis and balls?
No! Stop with the dirty talk.
It's okay.
This is a family-friendly show.
It's not a family show.
Jeez. So listen.
Yes.
AJ, she's a yogi. So she's not a Buddhist. She doesn't have this thing about right speech. And we'll talk about that in some future broadcast. But for the moment, let's just talk about what's happening today. And what's happening today is that...
Well, you're jumping right into it. Well, you're not going to tell me about your week or anything?
Well, if you want, I can talk about my neurological exam.
Something. No, please, God, no.
That was horrible. Listen, guys, once you reach 50, you start needing urological attention.
Colonoscopies.
Well, that's easy compared to what.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Colonoscopy, they kind of put you out. So that's.
They don't do that for when you have the other one?
No.
Really?
No, what they did to me this week, they didn't put me out. I would have knocked me out if I could have, because it was that bad. They put stuff in every orifice, maybe I'll tell you later. But anyway, so the week got off to a rough start. Well, what day is this? Tuesday.
Tuesday.
This must
the beginning of the week.
This must have been Friday then.
Okay.
So, but I wanted to talk about some stuff before we get to the news.
Is this one of your stories?
Listen, I was thinking, because I wrote an article.
Hold on. One of your stories. We're ready.
I wrote an article for you.
Yes, he did.
It
was an excellent article for DallasYogaMagazine.com.
And I don't remember what I said, but I think I remember something about mindfulness.
Yes.
So, people don't really know me or they know me, right?
Right.
I mean, that's one of two options, right? You got friends that may be listening, they don't know me.
Correct.
And I have friends that don't know me. I got friends, listen, I'll tell you, Tiny came out of prison when he was about 50-something years old.
Okay.
And we went to dinner. It was Tiny and Benny and me. Benny's older than Tiny. Tiny's 10 years older than me. And so we had dinner to kind of celebrate him coming out of prison, bank robbery.
Oh, okay.
And so we're having dinner, and Benny says,
I guess they didn't succeed.
No.
So
he got away with the money, but they never got the money because Tiny had this thing. He wouldn't roll over on the other two guys.
So is it buried somewhere maybe?
No, the other two guys got away. It was three guys.
And they didn't even save any for him? Well, who knows? Maybe they did.
No, they didn't. I asked him because I was like, why don't you roll over on them? Because he was going to the federal penitentiary.
Right.
And he said, no, he wasn't going to do that. So, wow. So what I wanted to tell you, so we were having dinner, and Benny says to Tiny, because Tiny was 6'3", 350 pounds. He had one of those horrible early bypasses.
Oh.
Where they staple the stomach.
Yeah, and it's, they
go in and they staple your stomach so it's smaller.
Yes.
This is before they had the mesh and everything. Anyways, it hurt him for the rest of his
Well,
life.
can't the stomach still stretch after that?
I
I think it can.
He didn't lose a lot of weight. He lost some.
Yeah, because I think it just stretches right back out.
And they had to put him in one of those penitentiaries with in Minnesota. It's the hospital. It's a medical prison. So anyways, little side note. Tiny's getting ready to go to prison. His real name was Marshall, but we call him Tiny. And it was a
Because he wasn't tiny, get
was
it?
not tiny.
Okay.
And I said to him, are you scared? Are you nervous? And he looked at me and he said, no, you know. He said, why? Why would I be? And I said, well, you're going to prison. You know, there's a lot of rough people there. And he starts laughing and he looks at me and he says, well, if I was you, I'd be scared. Little son bitch.
That's a good point, right?
He
It's a
said-
good
He
point.
said,
I'm
nobody.
big. I'm like a metal man. Look at your little ass.
Yeah, he said, I see why
Yeah.
you're concerned, but don't worry. Anyway, so during dinner, Benny said to him, I got somebody who owes me some money. Can you help me out? And he said, I'm too old.
Mm-hmm.
Back to my story, the original story, which
Yeah.
is I'm too old. I'm too old for a lot of things, but unfortunately, my brain doesn't know that.
Yes,
Yeah,
I understand that.
my body's beginning to realize that, but my mind doesn't always know that. And in the absence of mindfulness and being really present,
Mhm.
my mind thinks that I can kick your ass. Okay? So,
I'm so sorry.
yeah. So,
anybody's ass.
right.
Okay.
Man, there's just nobody I don't think of that when I look at them.
I used to. That's awesome.
Well, first off, let me say
Well, you
this.
do carry a gun, so I assume
I-
that you can kick anybody's ass.
Okay, so
So-
back up a moment
Okay.
to the firearm. I would tell a really big guy, because sometimes a really big guy would get mean. And then you have to tell him, listen, dude, you're just a big old target to me. You know, the bigger you are, the harder you are to miss, right? So they didn't really bother me. But I still, sometimes I get in my head and listen, I was biking the Katy Trail recently and I called the guy a name and he chased me down and he cuts me off. He turns around, he chases me, cuts me off and he says, you called me? And I said, yeah, I did. And why did you do that? I said, because you are. And so he was off his bike and he balled his fist up and he said, you need to apologize. And of course, my first thought was, and I said, this is going to end really badly for you. Because that's the only thought I'm having.
Well, at least it wasn't, any cuss words.
No, I didn't cuss. I
Okay.
just said, this is going to end real badly for you. He wouldn't back up. He's like, you're going to have to apologize.
Is this the guy that was on the thing he was trying to take the piece of machinery from your warehouse?
No.
Oh, okay. Because I thought it was the guy headed towards you
Oh,
on
yeah,
the little piece of machinery.
No, this is much more recent.
Oh,
No, this is
I
like
missed
3
this.
months ago.
Oh,
And he was in his 50s. He had graying hair. He's all balled up and
okay.
my height. And I'm like, wait, are you serious? I'm going to crush you. I'm going to beat you senseless. I'm going to make a pistol whip you. I don't know what I'm going to do to you. Go away from me.
Well, what made that moment of clarity come through that you realized?
I don't know. I'm connecting it to my mindful practice.
Okay.
That at some point I realized that he just wasn't worth it. It wasn't whether
Okay, that's
wasn't
fair.
even whether I could win or lose.
Right.
It was just why. I
Okay.
never asked why. In the old days, I didn't ask why. The answer was built into the equation. Why? Because. That's all I needed to know. You triggered me. Now I'm there, right?
So your Buddhist monk training came through.
Yeah.
I'm proud.
Yeah, when I used to be with a monk before I was a monk, I hung out with a monk for about 2 years. But I hung out with a Buddhist monk from Thailand.
Okay.
It was pretty much just me and him about 3-4 days a week. We'd go
Oh, okay.
hiking and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, the pictures.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so we would drive around. I would drive him around. He wouldn't drive me around very much, but and he would see somebody cut me off or something. I'd start getting agitated, and I would start to look over at them, and he would say, "Don't look." You know, he'd be sitting shotgun. So, you know,
Oh,
and he said, don't look, because he knew if you don't look, and
then
this
you
is
can't
true,
get,
it doesn't escalate.
right,
Even if they want it to escalate, if they can't make eye contact
Exactly.
with you. And that,
you know what my favorite thing to
by the
do?
way, I never thought of that.
That's
as a
right.
technique.
I know, right? Just don't engage. Wow, what a great technique.
And it turned out, and you know the beauty of it? Now sometimes I screw with somebody, but I won't look at them.
Oh, Jesus. You know what I do?
so-
Wait. You know what I do? They pull up and they're messing with me and I wave and smile real big. And I wave. And they're like flipping me off or something. I just wave and smile.
I guess,
And they don't know what to do with that. So it's
I
quite
guess
humorous.
Women can do that.
I don't know. I get away with it. It's like, okay, I don't know what you're mad at, but hi, how you doing? Have a good day. I'm smiling.
People might wave. I might wave.
I mean,
to
they
them.
might be flipping me off, but I'm waving sweetly.
See, and every young person, including my daughters,
Mhm.
has some experience in their lifetime when they were young, when I did not respond well to a transaction.
Is that true, ladies? He didn't really. They're shaking their heads. Yeah, he didn't respond well.
You know, Ricky, my little brother, he will tell you stories. My nephews will all have stories of people flipping me off, or in Ricky's
And you're
case,
not responding well.
right. Like Ricky says that when he was a kid, you know, I met Ricky, he was my little brother from Chicago's little brother program. I was working with street gangs just before I met him, and then I quit working with street gangs, and I went into another world, a business world, but I felt like I needed to be.
Is the cat okay?
Look at the cat. That's so crazy.
Oh,
The cat is in the fireplace. So, yeah, great. So,
Black ones. Is that a Buddhist thing, by the way?
no.
Okay, go ahead.
What was I talking about?
You were talking about Ricky and.
Oh, yeah. Ricky says that we were driving around one night or a day, I don't know, and he says some gang kids threw up a gang sign on me
Oh, well.
at the stop sign, and he says I got out of the car.
Why would you do that?
He says I went over and said, what do you think you're doing? And don't you throw up gang? You don't know who I am. You better.
Oh, my God.
know,
You are so lucky you didn't get shot.
Oh, God.
He did that to us. There's
Are
like a
you
bunch of youngsters in a car and they flipped him off and he just went and stopped at the stoplight.
This is
behind
after
them,
being a
got
mom.
out of his car at
No,
the
no.
stop
Oh,
light.
okay.
Yeah, he got out of the car at the
Don't
stoplight,
ever get
walked up to the car, lifted his shirt so they could see his gun.
Oh, my God. They're lucky.
And then they were just like, oh, I'm
If
sorry.
they would have shot you, would that have been enough?
If they could have got me first, God bless them.
But then they would have had means, right?
Kids, let me tell you something.
Oh my
You
God!
can
Legally, legally you were messing with them. They had the right to defend themselves.
No,
Really, you have to
No.
have your gun out.
believe me, I'm well within the law.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
First off, I didn't pull a gun, so
Yeah,
that's no
You
problem.
showed your gun.
Your sister's yelling at you. Did you hear her? She got picked up the mic.
Yeah,
picked her up
It
well.
worked. It picked up good.
No, you can, listen, she said there was a carload of them. There was more of them. I was just showing them that all things were equal.
Okay, but seriously, if somebody walks up to someone and shows them their gun, I would take that as a threat,
So
and then so I have the right to shoot them.
I didn't mean to go there, but since she's doing this, let's talk about gun laws. Because this is law and disorder, and that's,
But is that not
Perfectly
true?
fine.
I was threatened by you
Yeah.
showing me your gun.
yeah. You can make that argument.
Oh,
but
okay, but who knows if they
how
would
you
win in
gonna-
court?
Well, let's put it
Okay.
this way. Are you saying you're going to call a cop and say, arrest him, he threatened me? Or are you saying you did something violent to me and this is your defense?
No, say I flip you, I'm driving down the street, I flip you off. So
Okay.
you're mad at me and you pull up next to me in the car, you get out of your car, come to my passenger window, to my window, to the
Mhm.
driver's side window, and you don't mess with me. Look, I have a gun and I have a gun sitting right here. And because you are threatening me with your gun, even though it's not pulled out, can I shoot you legally? I can't I?
I don't think so.
I think you can. Well, I was threatened.
Yes.
I thought you were going to pull your gun out.
So it's a subjective standard.
Okay.
So the question is, did you reasonably believe that I was going to come into great bodily harm or
Okay.
death?
Okay.
It's a subjective test.
So it would be a jury trial to figure that out.
Right, right.
Okay, okay.
So here's what I used to teach. If you're going to use a weapon, a firearm,
Mhm.
you should use it diligently and you should responsibly. So the question that came up all the time is, well, if somebody's threatening me but they don't have a firearm, I can't use a firearm. And my thing is, oh, yes, you can. For instance, let's say, so a guy's coming towards me. He's 5'9", I'm 5'7". I'm 170, but that's because I'm overweight right now. Normally I'm a little lighter. He's 195
Okay.
and he's all muscle.
Okay.
He wants to fight.
Yes.
He's wrong. Just so you know, he's rolling.
But he's coming towards you.
He's coming
You're
towards
allowed
me
to
to
shoot
threaten
him.
me.
No.
So I always taught you should be able to access your firearm, so they always wear it in a holster. Let him know, physical, stop, stay back. He keeps coming.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a greater threat.
Sure.
Maybe I go to the low ready position with it. I give him one more verbal cue. Stand back, do not come, he's still coming I'm saying this loudly. I want all the witnesses that, he keeps coming. I raise it to the high ready. He keeps
Are you
coming.
going to shoot him in the
I
leg?
shoot him.
You always shoot right there. Okay.
Center mass, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
Women, I don't know if would shoot. They might go a little lower.
So we go to trial. I want the witnesses to say that Ken did everything he could. This crazy guy kept going.
Right.
Here's what I used to teach. When the jury goes to the jury room at the end of the trial, I want them to talk about how crazy the dead guy was.
Okay.
Okay, I want them to say a reasonable person should have stopped. The only reason he kept going, he must have been crazy.
Right.
He must have been a real threat.
Right.
So there's a lot of scenarios. So Ray Dean says, riding shotgun with Ken, yeah, that is an adventure. Her husband, Gary, was my closest friend for a long time. And Gary would always come out with a firearm to get in the car. And I'm like, what do you, he's like, because riding with you, I never know. And that was only a couple of years ago. So Ray Dean knows because she'd be riding with us and Gary wouldn't get in the car anymore because he just felt that I was too volatile. Now, this was not after I became a Buddhist and got involved, but up until then, I guess it was an adventure, as she says. I was volatile.
Okay.
Mindfulness puts you in touch with the thought processes while they're happening. So what would usually happen is I would just react. I had no neutral. When people talk about, oh, I got 2 speeds, fast forward, fast rear.
No Switzerland.
That was me.
Yeah.
I
understand that.
I had no neutral. And so, and fast backwards, I wasn't very good at driving backwards. So I was always
I suck at driving backwards.
Fast forward, she's got a hot rod. So, mindfulness, mindful meditation. So let's, first you said, isn't that nice? They went from gun laws
to mindful. I was thinking the same thing in my head. I was like, wow, that's a transition.
So you're sitting on the cushion.
Yeah.
And you're just being quiet and you're letting the mind settle. You're focused on the breath. The mind is settling. Okay. And, people would come. There's a great teacher, a Buddhist teacher. He says, do not meditate for serenity. Meditate for sanity. Very important distinction. You may find yourself calm and serene when you're meditating, but that is a byproduct of meditation. It's not the intention of meditation. The intention of meditation is to be present.
Yes.
Being present doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be relaxed.
Be present.
Okay?
Focus on the present.
So I'm sitting there. I'm being mindful. Here comes thoughts, whatever thoughts. Frequently, the thought will be, okay, I was telling somebody this morning, sometimes I'd be sitting there, I'm quiet, and my eyes are closed, and I'm just trying to breathe, right? And all of a sudden, I feel a constriction in my chest. And I'm like, well, what's that about? It's a physical reaction. And I realize that in my thoughts, in my quiet thoughts, I'm having some sort of encounter with somebody. And so I'm like, well, who am I mad at? But it's like a dream, right? I can't see who that person is.
Mhm.
I don't know who that person is. And then I'm like, well, what are we arguing about? What is this hostility about? And I can't remember that again, like a dream.
Right.
But my mind is doing it to me.
Mhm.
It's to the point where I'm physically getting a reaction, angry, that tightness. And I'm like, wait a second. Okay, come back to the breath. And,
On the now.
yeah. And in the moment, I realize there's nobody to argue with. There's nothing to be agitated about. And so the constriction goes away. I come back to the moment and I continue to focus on the breath.
And I like what you said, because so many people, when they do meditation, especially when you first start, maybe a minute, like you're good, your mind's going to wander. You just bring it back.
I've had
And I like
days
you
where
said
a minute would have been a blessing.
Yeah, exactly.
There's times when I couldn't count to 3
No, I
for
get
the
it.
whole time,
Mhm.
and I'd be gone. So I tell the story to some frequency about the time I was living in the monastery in Tucson, and I was meditating by myself in the Buddha hall, and it's almost embarrassing, but Thai monks like to make signs out of styrofoam and glitter. I find it a little over the top gaudy.
Okay.
Chintzy. I would not do it. They don't have any qualms about it. It's very common. So the monks in my temple, it was coming up on a ceremony. Let's say it's Buddhist birthday, and they make a sign, and it's in Thai. I don't even know what it says, right?
Mhm.
And they hang them around the temple to announce the coming festival. So I'm sitting there meditating, the robes, the whole deal, and I look up, and the sign is crooked. The tape has come loose, and it's slipped, so it's on an angle. And I'm like, they can't even hang a sign right. These monks can't do anything right. Okay?
He's bitching at the
I've
monks.
been there over a month. Right? And I've been
And they've been bitching at
meditating.
you about walking hard.
Yes.
I know.
Right.
I know.
A pitter patter. So I'm looking at that sign and I had an epiphany. In that moment, I saw what a petty son of a bitch I really was.
There you go.
Here I am manufacturing some crap about these monks. These 3 guys, 3 monks, all from Thailand.
Mhm.
I think they had all been monks since they were teenagers, were being nothing but kind to me, except the abbot. But he's on a retreat right now, so he won't hear this, but I'm sorry, he was not always kind. But he was an abbot. Anyways, I realized in that moment that I was a petty man who was manufacturing resentments constantly.
Right.
And I had never seen myself in that.
It's amazing when that clarity comes.
So
That's
that day
beautiful.
I made a promise to myself that going forward, as long as I lived in the temple, I would only ask one thing of the abbot each day, and that is there something I can do to help you? I changed my attitude. Now, I'm not always mellow now by any means. I'm just telling you that there was a shift in awareness. That left to my own devices, I will manufacture resentments. That's why AA, NA, and all those A's are very good because they focus on resentment a lot. They really try to ferret out resentments. They have a saying in 12-step recovery, resentment is the #1 killer of people who suffer from addictions.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
And they're irrational. They're totally irrational.
Jared, I'm glad you tuned in. Haven't seen you in a while. It's good. And so.
I'm going to say something too. Can I say something to Station?
Yeah.
Okay. On my Facebook, it's
like
not showing, beyond that, but it's not showing up live at the top that it's a live thing. I think it's just showing up in my feed and my friends aren't getting.
It's kind of like a commercial break, but don't go anywhere because this
it's
could
not
get good.
No, but beyond that,
Yeah,
it's not
I got you.
showing up in the.
Click it.
Okay, hold on. Let's see if that's it. We need Stacia sometimes.
Click it or ticket.
Well, now it's just spinning.
I'll carry on with the show.
Okay.
Well, they can't be reached.
Okay, no internet.
Oh man, that doesn't sound good.
Oh.
So, some of these are like last week. What happened to this week? Okay, so I wanted to talk about some law stuff. I thought this was really good. This one is related to Dallas marshalling.
I don't know.
These electric
Not gonna worry about it
scooters.
now.
These electric scooters, they're called Bird, and there's a bunch of them downtown and in Deep Ellum.
Yes, and okay, so I'm riding through downtown and these three go and they are riding on these little electric scooters, and I'd say they're maybe 16 to 20, okay, the age group of these three people. And I'm watching, two of them they're like shaking and they can barely stand up on it. The guy was doing pretty well. And the other girl was okay. This one girl, oh my God, I couldn't believe that she was like on this thing, rides right out in the middle of the street and falls flat on her face, right there, right in the middle, smack in the middle of the street.
So,
how are those legal?
well, we're going to talk a little bit about them. Not so much how they're legal because they're not illegal.
But so she gets run over. Whose fault is that? Can she sue that company?
Well, I suspect, I don't never use them because I have an electric bike. What do I need an electric scooter?
Well, that's true.
I suspect when you get the app, because you need to have the app to unlock it,
Mhm.
there's probably something there that's a waiver of liability. In order to use it, to get access to that unit,
Yeah.
you probably have to click a thing that says, I don't hold you liable. It's my guess.
God, I couldn't. But I mean, if you can't ride the thing, don't ride it. Don't ride out in front of the
Well, it
traffic.
seems like fun when you're.
Oh my gosh, she's like all over the place and right in the middle of the street. Yeah, it looked like me trying to ride my first motorcycle.
So Lime and Bird are the big ones.
Okay, yeah, Lime.
And Lime
I didn't know Bird was
had
the
the
other one.
bikes. They had the
Right, the bike bikes.
dockless bikes.
Mhm.
They're big in that. And then they started with electric scooters.
Yes,
They've been kicked out of San Francisco and somewhere else. They almost got
for
kicked
bikes
out.
and the thing, or just one?
No, just electric.
Okay, yeah.
So Bird recently sent a threatening letter to a company that did the following. They posted on their website that if you came in touch with a Bird scooter that
Mhm.
was disabled, because police sometimes will confiscate them and then they're selling them. So they posted a whole article about how to take the motherboard out of the computer, because there's a GPS, and replace it with a different thing. Essentially, how to take possession of it without paying any money.
Okay.
They weren't telling people to steal
Right.
them and do this. They were saying if you
Well,
bought,
if you happen to want,
right?
here's the idea. This is how easy it is to steal this. Although they didn't say steal.
No, they didn't. Well, and I don't know. It says that in 2018 December, they posted this piece on the internet and detail how to swap out hardware components, namely a motherboard, on electric scooters that are legitimately purchased from city authorities who have impounded them, thereby disabling recovery and payment components. So Bird sent a letter to these people and said, hey, you better take that down. You know, you're in trouble. You're violating our copyright and stuff. And they said, go suck an egg.
Right.
Because we got First Amendment, and second of all, we got First Amendment. And it said, we didn't advocate anybody taking anything. We're saying if you got it, here's what you do. And
If you
Bird,
happen to, okay, no, here's my question.
so Bird backed down, but I thought this was interesting. It goes to what you were asking.
Uh-huh.
So are they safe? Reports in 2018 indicate accidents or malfunctions with on-demand scooters have resulted in a wave of injuries.
I wasn't even talking about that. I was just talking about
Lime
skill.
pulled its entire fleet from the cities of Basel and Zurich in Switzerland after Swiss media site Watson published a report detailing 3 injuries caused by anti-theft locking during rides. So I guess you ran out of time and you don't want to, re-up or something.
And right in the middle of it, it's just going to stop, and then you're going to go over.
Okay.
That would be bad.
That follows reports about scooters breaking apart and batteries catching on fire. Nothing about manhandling. So
Yeah, I'm just talking about skills. I wasn't even talking about that. I was just thinking, people, you have to get a driver's license, and you have to get a motorcycle license. So if you can't ride a scooter,
So speaking of the internet,
yeah.
because that's how
Look at that transition. Oh,
because
yay. I'm going to give you a little hand. I know. That was awesome.
by the way, I think you can go to YouTube channel, which is Ken Goldberg's Law and Disorder YouTube.
Yep.
And I've been told the quality of our broadcast is better. You can go to Ken at Law Dash. I don't know. Anyways, tune in or tune out.
You can get the podcast
tune in,
on law-disorder.com.
turn on, drop out. Okay, so this judge got his license stripped. I thought he was an interesting character, and he's a Texas guy.
Oh,
So,
he's from Texas now?
Yeah.
Now I'm upset.
He's been sentenced.
Why did you have to mention that part? Can we give him some other state, Louisiana or something?
No, I think it's kind of cool that we got this creep here. Sentenced to 6 years in prison for posting fake ads for sex using photos and phone numbers of 2 former girlfriends. How's that for sleazy? It's not over. So he was using the name Don Tequila to buy ads, and he ended up getting convicted. But here, this guy, he's a story. So he started this in 2014, and he was really creepy about it. You know, very fetish friendly and stuff. So, these women were getting people they didn't want anywhere in their life. The guy had been elected as a judge in 2010.
How did he ever get elected? Why don't you go?
Well,
Why don't you go run for
should.
judge?
I should.
I mean, you really should, because if this guy can get elected, why can't you?
I swear.
I know.
So he resigned in 2013 after he was charged with lying under oath and abuse of office because he was threatening lawyers. He was doing a lot of creepy stuff. At that time, he pled guilty to misdemeanor charges and got 2 years deferred probation. But the guy didn't stop. He's a litany of crimes. And finally, he was sentenced. He was in jail for 11 months for what they charged him with online impersonation.
But that's nothing.
But a judge released him saying that the law about online impersonation was overbroad. It's unconstitutional.
Right.
And overbroad means that
not
when the
specific.
courts rule, it's not specific enough to know, for somebody to know when they're committing a crime. So they sprung him, okay? Well, it went up on appeal, and his lawyer said, oh man, the lawyer who got him out had argued that using another person's persona is a long-held tradition, citing comedians.
I know, that was the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Citing Chevy Chase, who played Gerald Ford on Saturday Night Live. And that if you were causing somebody harm, the proper remedy was a defamation suit.
Right, sue him a different way.
So the Texas Appellate Court, which surprised me, reversed in 2017 and said, no, it's not overbroad. So he got. So
somebody then recharged him. I didn't think you could be charged for the same crime.
So he resigned his law license in January of 2017, and then in 2018 they came after him for the harassment case because he called one girl 200 times in one night.
I saw that.
200 times.
How do you do that? Do you just sit there all night going?
There are cases like this where they have done the math, and in order to text the number of times that this one woman, she would have had to have 3 days nonstop, no sleep to have achieved the 1,000.
Can they put it on like automatic or something?
I
don't know.
I don't know. I'm not a stalker. Don't be asking me stuff.
Yeah, but you have a criminal mind.
Ask me about gun law, okay? Don't ask me about stalking. So anyways, I love that when they finally got him, they found him hiding in his attic.
I know. What a miserable life. He's hiding in his friggin' attic.
Just this.
That's just so weird to me. So can the girls go back? Okay, first of all, the attorney that got him out, okay, part of this deal was he kept threatening all these other attorneys. So would you want to be his attorney and get him out of jail? I would never have gotten this guy out of jail. I would have left him there, even if I was an attorney. Maybe it was a public defender.
Speaking of attorneys.
And he had to.
Sears.
Oh, God.
Sears has gone into bankruptcy, and they're trying to get out. Well, they're not sure what they're trying.
They're grasping.
So the CEO has made a $5 billion offer for it, which is about $5 billion more than Sears is worth, kids. Because AJ and I were talking before the show, we've all been into Sears, not recently, but
Like a year ago.
Yeah. and there was nobody working there. They had no product. The product was crap, whatever. So I saw this article that they have an issue. They're trying to work out Chapter 11 or Chapter 13. Don't ask me which one. But here's the problem. One of the problems is that the legal fees are so high and take priority over the secured vendors and the employees. So, yes. Oh my God.
Well, it's ludicrous. Okay,
So the guy that offered $5 billion
yes,
also has offered to pay off $600 million in additional liabilities, including the legal fees.
which are 370,000 or something. It's on the second page.
No, it's more than that.
Was it?
Yeah, it was $5 million.
Or million. I went million. I meant million.
In the first 2 weeks,
Here.
the law firm that's doing the.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ludicrous.
They're billing 1,000. There are 36 lawyers.
Oh, that's Toys R Us. They're talking about Toys R Us there.
Stay with me.
I'm so sorry. It really pisses me off that the attorney.
Sears.
Hold on. So what pisses me off about this is these attorneys go in and then they get all they bill as much as they possibly can, millions of dollars. Then Sears goes into bankruptcy and they pay their attorneys first. So millions and millions of dollars that should be going to vendors whose merchandise they have.
How do I tell you?
I think you're missing out. You need to be one of those attorneys.
There are at least, according to this article, at least 36 lawyers are billing Sears $1,000 an hour to be working on this bankruptcy. Doesn't mean they're all working off the same thing, but it says in the article that this is such a specialized area that when a company like Sears or Toys R Us goes into bankruptcy, there's only a couple firms with enough staff and personnel and knowledge to be able to help. And so what she mentioned is Toys R Us.
Yeah, it was.
Well, Toys R Us the first 3 months had $45 million in fees. So the judge in the Sears case has asked for what's called a fee examiner to go through the billings and to see if there's unnecessary
those attorneys
charges.
know what they're doing. They're not going to put on this. They're going to have it so perfect.
The main law firm for the first 2 weeks submitted 330 pages of breaking down each lawyer's time into 6-minute intervals.
Okay, well, and it's right here. So Toys R Us pays 72 firms,
75 million.
370. Now those attorneys get paid first in the bankruptcy, and then say we as little vendors send stuff to Sears or Toys R Us, and it's on their shelf, and they're supposed to pay us on net 30, and then we don't get paid, but the attorneys get paid.
If you're just tuning in, and I don't
Not
see
happy about
anybody
that.
just tuning in, sadly.
I'm not happy. Well, it's not on my. I don't. Yeah. It's okay. We'll figure it out.
Can we do nothing?
No, we're not. We're good. We're good. See, here's the people right there.
So Ken Goldberg's Law and Disorder. And we had to call it Ken Goldberg's Law and Disorder.
Well, because it's Ken Goldberg.
Well, some other people were trying to come out with Law and Disorder. There's a group in Washington, D.C. that after my show had been airing for years, but it went silent because I was getting fired. They started gangstering the name. And so I wanted to make sure that, people knew it wasn't me. I got more articles, but I got to take a breather because I've been running at 1,000 miles a minute here.
Look at them over there. Our audience tonight is just so enthusiastic.
I shouldn't drink 5-hour energy drink in the afternoon.
You never sleep tonight.
I know.
Yeah,
I don't ever drink it in the late afternoon, but I didn't want to fall asleep in front of y'all. So look, let's go to flashing. That's better. I immediately feel better going to flashing.
Mine don't flash.
Okay, so now we're going to get off of the law and into legislation.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a group of right-wing social.
So you're going to really go for it and get me pissed, aren't you?
Well, I want you to moderate yourself.
I'm trying.
Okay. So, by the way, I'm not going to talk about Trump, but I do want to tell you that this article.
But these are his bills.
But no, they're not his.
But he's supporting them.
Yes.
Okay.
It says that he has a religious advisory board President.
They didn't ask me to be on it. Did they ask you to be on it?
Well, there's a reason.
I know.
It's all evangelical Christians. He forgot the Jews, the Buddhists, the Hindus, the Mochiki.
Well, even just the regular Christians, the evangelical, even just Baptist, Catholics, Presbyterian, evangelical is a very specific kind of Christian.
Yeah. All right. So there's a group of what they call Christian nationalists.
Jews for Jesus, too. They forgot them.
They forgot them? Yeah. So there are these groups around the country, and they tend to be more right-wing, I think, than left-wing, because I've never heard of this being done. But in this case, there's a group, and they produce what they call religious freedom legislation packages, like 50 bills.
This shocked me. I mean, I knew this went on, but I didn't like reading it.
So they'll go to Texas, and they'll say to some...
yeah, they'll come here, and they'll get lots of support here.
So they'll go to legislators who they think are sympathetic, and they'll say, listen, we've already got the bills for you to propose. You don't have to do anything. Here you go. It's already done. It'll demand that the baker doesn't have to sell to gay people. It'll say that you can have the 10 Commandments in the courthouse. It'll say a lot of stuff.
Right.
Right? And they give them this package. And so they're going around the country. This was also done. There's gun lobbyists that do this kind of thing. There are,
So they just look, let me see if I get this right. So they just go in and they just look for any bills related to what they're looking for. It can be guns, it can be religion.
But these groups create the bills.
Okay, so they create the
They
bills.
get their lawyers and they create the legislation generic.
Is this all
and
over?
then they go to people in sympathetic and they do this.
In the federal and state? Or is it just federal that they're doing that?
Well, it's mostly state.
Okay, that's what I thought. I want to make sure.
It's easier to do it on the state.
Okay, just want to make sure I was on the right track.
Okay, so, and it's usually Republicans
Mhm.
and what they call off-the-shelf model bills. In other words, your legislator didn't sit around and
Right.
create.
They take the wording from something
Texas.
else and
They
stick
just
it in.
went and here's
Filled in
the
blanks.
bookstore.
And fill in the blanks, right.
And they call them In God We Trust bills. And they've been introduced all over the country. And it's things like seeing the 10 Commandments displayed on public vehicles.
Okay.
Or in God We Trust to be displayed on vehicles, police vehicles, any kind of public vehicle, hung in
I
schools.
think it is on some
And
places.
yeah, it is on
Mhm,
some.
yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a bill requiring Florida high schools to offer Christian Bible study classes.
Yeah, I liked how they were doing that. How are they going to do that? They're not really saying, they're introducing something into the schools, so then that would fall under that category. Christian history into the classes, so then they can teach that in the, are you
Yeah,
following
but they're
me?
not gonna, it's gonna get shot down because you can't prioritize one.
Well, they don't think it's going to get shot down, or they wouldn't be doing it.
In Arizona, they stopped giving money to the Tucson school district. They went after them because they were teaching Latino studies. And the Phoenix legislature is not pro-Latino.
Right.
Tucson is because we're close to the border.
Right.
And they went after them and said, you can't do this. They sued the school district, the state. Jumped on the school district.
Man, I talked to the civil rights movement and Cesar Chavez. They would have pulled my funding.
The one in Florida is interesting. It was introduced by a Democrat. Okay, so that's unusual.
Okay, that was very unusual. I saw that. Yeah.
And she's a former exorcist.
Okay, so she's a little out there.
Might be a little
different.
And she refers to herself as Demon Buster. Yeah.
I think we should have her on the show.
That should have been.
I
was thinking she should get applause for being the Demon Buster.
think, well, no, I'm blowing her up. I think we should have her on the show.
So they're also,
No?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, wouldn't it be interesting?
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
I think it'd be very
I'm down
interesting.
with that.
Who are we to say that doesn't exist?
There's also a lawsuit against, not a lawsuit, Miracle Hill Ministries was the, which state is in South Carolina. They got in the news because they have foster kids, they put up for adoption, and they wouldn't adopt non-Christians. So
Yes,
if a
I
Jew went
remember
in
that.
there, they'd say, oh, I'm sorry, we only, you know, so they were getting federal
Sorry,
monies.
little boy, you need to live on the streets. Ken, you would have been on the street, baby.
Well, it's not whether the kid is Jewish, it's whether the adopting parent was Jewish, right?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So, and they'll take any kids, but they have to be raised Jewish. No,
No,
don't they have to
no.
come from a Jewish household to be accepted into the program? Because they want their DNA.
No. There's a Christian group
Right.
that takes children, but only
Non-Jew, I mean, like Christian.
Christian families were serviced.
Okay. No, here, but I'm switching it around. Say the Jewish, they have the Jewish ones like this too. So do they only take Jewish children?
You can do what you want to do in
Mhm.
that regard, I guess, except they're taking federal monies.
Oh, yeah, you can't
And
do
the
that.
federal government prohibits that.
Can't do
type
that,
of thing.
yeah.
So because they
That would be
feel,
private funding
they
then.
feel that the present administration
Mm.
will be favorable to them, they're now asking that this money be given to them again because they want to keep their federal money,
Right.
even though, and continue to refuse to allow non-Christians.
Well, if they want to do that, they can go ahead and get private funding.
Well,
right?
that's always the argument. If you want, if you don't want to be, you know, if you don't want to be governed by the federal government, then don't take the federal government's money. When I was running a youth program in Chicago, in 1978, 79, the city offered me a lot of money.
Mhm.
I had been struggling to support my agency. I mean, I had really scrimped
Right.
along. I got paid $8,000 as director of the program.
Right.
And so they declared war on street gangs, and I was the only street gang worker that was, you know, really prominent in the city. So my community marched on City Hall. It was so cool.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, they had signs.
I love that.
They said, you know, fix our neighborhood. And the mayor got intimidated and told the Department of Human Services of Chicago, keep them off my back. What do they want? They want to give money to local motion. That was me. So the city calls me up. Please get down here, get down there. So please.
You weren't already there with your sign?
No, I was busy working in the streets, right? So I go down there, and this guy meets me and says, you know, give me a proposal for money, and you know, we're going to see what we can do. So I wrote up a proposal for money. I don't know, $60,000, $70,000, and I give it to them. And they say, okay, we'll get back to you. And they call me up and come on down. And I get down there, and they say, okay, we're going to give you everything you asked for. And they gave me a stack of papers about that
And what was in them?
reporting requirements.
Oh, yes. Okay, because you're getting the money from the government. Oh, my
So the
God.
city,
That's not even worth taking
so
money.
the city would go. To
I don't know how, I can't do that. That would drive me crazy.
Here's what I did.
There's no way.
I handed them the check and said, no, thank you. And they were like, what are you doing? I said, I'm not going to do this
Right.
every month. And they're like, come on, you know, we're giving you everything else. I said, yeah, no, I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm too busy working. They said, but we gave you somebody to do the paperwork. I said, and we have to feed her. You know, anyways, I didn't take the money.